Oh my goodness!
So let's talk about Class B. Wait a minute, nobody actually cares about Class B. Shelving that idea for now. We get our first glimpse into how Stain's ideology is not black and white, or correct. And the reason for this is because of the information we got on Kota. Now, to get right into it, let me kind of briefly keep everybody up to speed with what Stain's ideology was and why things aren't as always like what Stain wanted. Like, what he wanted from the Hero Society wasn't the best way to go about it. So to start, as we know, Stain as a villain, or as a, I guess, anti-hero, he was someone that wanted to make and create true and real heroes. He was someone that went out of his way to kill and get rid of the fakers, and say they are heroes. They go out there and try to do hero work, but in reality, they are just doing it for job's sake, getting money, getting fame, and they're not really doing it for the act of being a hero. They're not, for instance, acting like All Might. They're not acting like Izuku. They are not true heroes. Just because you have a license saying you're able to use your quirk and save people doesn't automatically make you a hero. And that viewpoint from Stain is correct. I think anyone that looks at that from this, like a different angle, realizes that Stain's thoughts right there is pretty freaking accurate. Just because you have a license saying you're a hero does not mean you are a hero. There is many ways to look at people that are heroes in life. Many people that save people, not because of, they have a license. And that, once again, was one of the big reasons that made Stain such a really interesting and fascinating character, and why many just grew attached to him. However, his methods, as we know from Season 2, were very brutal. He went out of his way to attack and kill people, which just went completely too far. And because of that, he wasn't completely innocent. But his motive, what he wanted, it was real. Like, you cannot really go against it completely. However, here is where it's not all black and white comes into play with this episode. Kota is a perfect example of someone that experiences a painful loss. Someone that is hurt by heroes being true heroes, or at the very least, Stain's ideology. See, Stain's ideology, he wanted heroes to go out there, be selfless, and die. For instance, Izuku. Let's take him for an example, or All Might. Izuku, we know he would blindly charge in to save an individual, even at the cost of his own life, at the cost of his own well-being. We have seen him break his bones, hurt his own body with the Stain fight, and we know how he is. He would willingly go into the thick of it and die to save someone. And at first glance, when you see that, you would probably commend the man. You would say, that man right there, that is a heroic deed. Many would automatically start praising Izuku, or anybody that does something like that. So selfless. And it is selfless. But at the same time, though, that is what Stain wants. But being selfless and not caring about your own well-being shows the problems with Stain's ideology, which is what we can see through Kota in this episode. Kota is a boy that at a young age he lost his parents because they were trying to be true heroes according to Stain's ideology. And because he didn't truly understand the world and what was going on around him, or understand the concept of really being a hero, it gave him a horrible, horrible time. A bad time in his life, and he's still experiencing that suffering in his life right now, as we can clearly see. He does not like heroes, and the reason for it is because when his parents died, many on the news, everybody that was covering it and all that, for close relatives and stuff, were probably saying, they died like heroes. They did an honorable act, and in the way it is. They were hyping up saying, they died doing what they believed in. They died trying to save people, and, it's honorable. But at the same time, Kota, he doesn't really care about that. The reason why is because at the end of the day, he lost his parents. He lost his family. And he was left alone. And the individuals that are going out of their way praising the deaths of these heroes, they're not really taking a moment to consider what Kota is going through, or what he will go through in his life now thanks to losing his parents. And that puts everything into perspective on some things that are kind of incorrect with Stain's ideology. He did have a good reason for it, but at the same time, there is some flaws in his thinking, especially the way this episode dives into Kota. So I just wanted to make sure that was very clear on what this episode was trying to do when it was showing why Kota acted like he did towards Izuku or heroes in general. Now, do I think that Kota should have attacked Izuku and hit him in the scrotum? No. I don't think he should have done that, honestly. But, I mean, at the same time, we gotta remember he is a kid. And when you're a kid that young and you are, having a world that seems to be against you, obviously you're going to get very upset or emotional. So, even though I don't think it was right for him to do what he did to Izuku, punching him right in the groin, I think that it makes sense for why he did. It's realistic. And I think many can agree with that at the very least. Now, despite all of this, though, I want to say something. I want to talk about what Izuku said about the entire situation with Kota. He said that it would be very irresponsible to say it's not my problem. And to kind of dive into this message and what Izuku is trying to say, is he's trying to expand upon what Shigaraki said. Shigaraki said that he's tired of people going around and smiling, being happy, feeling like there's peace, but when in reality, there's people right beside you all the time that possibly have a dangerous quirk that can just end you instantly. Shigaraki is a perfect example. As we know, his quirk, he can disintegrate someone. If his entire palm, all fingers, are on someone, they will disintegrate in a matter of seconds. And because of that, it makes him a very dangerous individual. Even if he was a hero, that's a dangerous quirk to have. And a lot of heroes, as we have seen, have very dangerous quirks. Izuku is a good example of this. He is someone that could easily wipe out buildings because of what we have seen from All Might. All Might eviscerated buildings in Season 2 when he was fighting Bakugo and Izuku. So that shows that Izuku's quirk is pretty freaking strong. This puts into perspective of what Shigaraki's ideals are. He doesn't want people feeling so content, smiling and all that, and the person that is All Might smiling and always being happy, he doesn't want everybody to do that. He wants them to wake up and realize that everybody around you is extremely dangerous. And he doesn't like how people are just smiling thoughtlessly and not taking into consideration what's going on around them. And that kind of also shows that Izuku is taking the knowledge of how irresponsible it is to say it's not my problem. Like, let's go into what All Might said at the end of Season 2. Izuku asked a question to All Might. Is there anybody you weren't able to save? It was somewhere around the lines of that. Like, were you able at a point where you couldn't save someone? And All Might responds, you can see in that part, I forget what episode it's exactly at, but it's like the final couple episodes of Season 2. But he talks to, All Might responds saying, yeah, there is. There's many times to where I can't save people because, I can't always be there. And it's true. At the end of the day, even though All Might is this #1 hero, he's a monster with his quirk, he's still human. At the end of the day, he cannot be everywhere. He cannot be some omnipotent god that can be all at places at once. He cannot be invincible. He is someone that can only save the people that are around him. And that's what Izuku is trying to say. It's irresponsible to say that it's not my problem, but at the same time, sometimes that information is true. You can't always save people that are around you. To get into this episode, we begin the training camp arc, and my God, I love this episode. Not just because of the fan service, the Minafies, but then also the Toru scene with her just being completely invisible, and for a fact that Studio Bones is low-key making like a very, very graphic scene. Let's just go there. But anyways, I say that this episode, man, as I said before, I'm jealous of you anime-onlys. I really am, because when it comes to the anime adaptation of Boku no Hero, it's honestly better than the manga. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the manga. Oh my God, I love the manga, and it looks incredible. It's great. But seeing some of this content animated, like the introduction of the Wild Wild Pussycats and all that, and how Izuku introduced them, to, the little scenes with, Mineta and how he was trying to go over the wall and all that, to what Kota did to Izuku. I mean, there's just so many good moments here, comedy moments, and I'm really happy that Studio Bones doesn't try to skip over stuff like this. I know that there is many out there. I've seen it on the course of me reviewing, My Hero Academia all of these years. I've seen many say they don't like these scenes, and the reason why is because they don't want to have these slice of life scenes. But in reality, I like these scenes because it expands upon the characters. It lets us get a grasp on how these characters are when they are not doing hero duty. For instance, fighting villains. It allows us to get a good grasp on how they think or feel when they're just chilling at home or something, or content with their friends. And I love these type of episodes. I love these type of scenes in the manga. But there is a lot of times I see people complain about them, and I'm just very glad that Studio Bones isn't trying to focus on the action and just that's all it's about. I'm glad that they take the time out of the production and all of that to really show these little key scenes for characters that, at the end of the day, some of them are minor, but it expands upon the characters and lets us understand them more. And like I said, I like that, especially with the whole Bakugo and Kirishima stuff as well in this episode. I just am really liking how they're really showing and putting, emphasis on how Bakugo and Kirishima are kind of, close as friends, especially in this episode. I just like stuff like that. So, in terms of just being an anime adaptation of the manga, it's definitely a lot better than the manga. I think Bones has done a fantastic job, and they continue to do a very fantastic job. I just can't wait for the upcoming scenes. Oh my god, Anime Unleashed, you don't even know. You don't even know how this scene right here with the opening, how it just sends chills down my spine. My god, when I saw that again in the opening, when I rewatched it for this episode, I'm like, I need it. I need it. But okay, so let's get on topic. Let's talk about the content within the episode. So, the training camp. What is the purpose and why are they doing it? Well, number one, they're doing this training camp to increase their quirk capabilities. See, our characters ever since the beginning, they have been building up their stamina, they've also been building up their own physical strength, but in reality, they haven't really been figuring out a way to master their quirk. We've seen Izuku make progression here and there throughout the journey, especially in the tournament with, Todoroki, but overall, majority of our characters, they haven't really got a good grasp on their quirk or expanded upon their quirk more than they already have. And so this training camp is for our characters to take their quirk to the next level, being able to understand that they need to be able to use their quirk in different ways instead of what they've been doing. And so that's the point of this. That's what Aizawa and everybody else like the Wild Wild Pussycats are trying to do while teaching them, hey, you need to use your quirk and you need to get better with it, and now that you've built up physical strength and stuff, let's start teaching you the other stuff with your quirk. So that's kind of what the training arc is mainly about, what they're trying to do here. And we also get some information from Aizawa and all that they're apparently speeding up the program, the school's program, and trying to get our main cast of characters to their license exam quicker than normal. Because with how villains are very active nowadays, they need to get things going, on the ball, and that's kind of why they're putting them through this training camp and making them go a lot faster, because they want the children to all take the exam incredibly early. So there you go. That's kind of the main point of why this is happening now. And so they're technically in an advanced class. That's kind of how you can view this, is that our characters are taking advanced courses just to be able to get done early. Let's also talk about the teamwork from, class, A. So, our entire cast of characters work together to take down the golems that was made by one of the Wild Wild Pussycats. And this is something that really stood out to me from a shonen perspective, especially for what this arc is kind of about. You see, normally in training arcs, or arcs that are with characters trying to expand or, get better with something, normally characters are always about a free-for-all. It's a free-for-all to go to the other end or something, or a race to get to the end or make it, but that's not what this episode is about. All of our characters showed that they were working together to take down these golems and get to where they need to go as an entire group. Our entire cast of characters, they are bonded. And these little key scenes with them just, interacting with each other, having slice of life moments, expands this bond between them and allows us to understand why they can just work so well together. I mean, even Bakugo, he was working with the entire class. He wasn't really being mean or anything. I mean, he said some things, but I mean, overall, that's just Baku. That's typical Baku, saying like half and half and all that. So it just shows that all of our characters working together, it would not be possible if they just did not have all this time to bond together. And this scene wouldn't have had as much impact if it wasn't for Studio Bones animating the slice of life scenes. Also, speaking of the slice of life scenes, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the fact that Ochako once again remembered her little crush on Izuku. See, Izuku's freaking out because Ochako was getting in his face, and he's like, so close, so close, and then she thinks about what Aoyama said to her, and then she blushes, she backs up, and I thought that entire scene was very cute and adorable. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day, I would say, but it's just very cute, and I've always been a Izuku Ochako shipper, and, you know, let's get this out of the way, because I need to say it. If they don't end up together, they don't end up together, okay? I'm not gonna hate on the series if Ochako and Izuku doesn't happen, okay? I'm just saying that I've always rooted for him, and just seeing that, it just makes me happy within. Okay, now, I think the last thing I really need to talk about would probably be what the League of Villains are doing. So the League of Villains, they are planning something, and it's very obvious by the little dialogue we get from them that they're going to be crashing into the training camp, because we have information from Shigaraki that apparently his teacher, you know, told him where it's taking place. They got this information. And so that's kind of what's going on there. You have it to where the League of Villains are about to attack Izuku's group. So we're about to have some, you know, League of Villains action, which we haven't really had them interfering with our cast of characters since Season 1. I mean, Stain, he wasn't really with the League of Villains, remember that. He was just, like, put on the media as if he was with the League of Villains. But in reality, he was never really with them. So, yeah. This will be our, you know, first time in a long time that, you know, Shigaraki and all of them are going to actually be going out of their way and messing with everybody at once. So I'm looking forward to it, because it's kind of like, you know, a nod to Season 1's finale. But that's about it. I think I've kind of talked about everything I need to talk about. I mean, there might be a little miscellaneous stuff here and there that I might have forgotten to talk about, but overall, I think I got the main point across of what this episode was about. So, I love you guys. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.